In the news now, a young man is dead after a shooting in Edge Hill last night. This morning, they're still trying to find out who pulled the trigger. News Channel 5's Deja Knight at the CJC with more on the investigation. They're still, I guess, trying to find the suspect in this case, or suspects.
Well, they have limited it down to just one person. They believe it is a man, but as far as the description goes, they have not given us that information yet. Detectives still trying to figure out who possibly could have been the one that murdered this 25-year-old man. Now, we're told that the victim was sitting in a car over by 1223 Edge Hill Avenue, and that is when the suspect approached him. After a brief conversation, we're told the suspect pulled out a handgun and fired several shots, which struck the victim. The suspect fled the scene on foot, and that victim was transported to Vanderbilt Medical Center, where he was pronounced dead. Now, from information received at the scene, detectives believe that this shooting was not random and the victim was targeted by the suspect. So hopefully detectives will be able to talk to friends and family members, more people that were there on the scene, and figure out exactly who this person responsible for this horrible crime is. And of course, as soon as we find out that information, we'll bring it to you here first. We're live at the Criminal Justice Center. Deja Knight, News Channel 5 HD.
All right, thank you very much. And happening right now, detectives still trying to find that shooting in Edge Hill. We'll have that for you in just a second. Right now, they're talking about a police burglary also happening. Police looking for somebody who hit this Bordeaux Pizza Hut on Clarksville Pike around 2 a.m. The crook busted out the front door to go inside. Not clear what they made off with, whether there was any money or pizza ingredients or what. Police are investigating. No arrests have been made in that case.
And new this morning, serious injuries are reported after a head-on collision on I-65 in Robertson County overnight. It happened in the northbound lanes of I-65 near exit 117. Now you can see the severity of the damage in this picture from Smoky Barn News. It's a little hard to see because obviously it's at night, but we're told 2 life flight helicopters were called and as many as 3 people are injured. Investigators are now looking into how one of those vehicles ended up going the wrong direction on the interstate. And police say improper passing and failing to yield at a train crossing led to a deadly motorcycle accident in South Nashville. 50-year-old Philip McLemore was killed yesterday when he lost control on Hermitage Avenue and struck a moving train. Now, police say the warning lights were flashing, the bells were ringing when McLemore passed several stopped cars and a tractor-trailer that likely blocked his view of the train. The search is on this morning for a driver who hit and killed a bicyclist but never stopped to check on him. Clarksville police say 22-year-old Vince Freeman was riding his bike on Tiny Town Road around 12:30 Monday morning when he was hit. The car sped away, and evidence at the scene indicates the vehicle that hit him was blue. If you have any information that could help police, call Clarksville Crime Stoppers 931-645-TIPS.
Amy, there are some new twists and conflicting stories now about the night former Tennessee Titans kicker Rob Baronis died in a car crash. News Channel 5's Cuthbert Langley has been following this story since it broke late Saturday night. Cuthbert, lots of confusion this morning and some troubling new 911 calls.
Absolutely, Steve. It seems like with every new day, there is a new twist, a new development that makes the story even more confusing for so many of his fans and his family. This morning, we're still sifting through several of those 911 phone calls, including one from his wife, Rachel, made at 11:40 Saturday night that reported him missing. Here's what we know so far. This is what remained of the former Titans kicker's SUV when it crashed on Battery Lane Saturday night. You can see there really wasn't much left of that car. Throughout the final minutes, even of Baronis' life, there were several people who called 911 saying a male driver in a white SUV was driving violently and driving erratically. But the biggest question this morning remains as to why the former kicker even left his house to begin with. He was watching a movie with his wife and her girlfriend. Now, his wife told police she last saw him at either 9:40 or 10:30. In a police report, she says Baronis told her goodnight and she assumed he was going to bed. But in a 911 phone call made some 40 minutes after he died, she says he just got up and disappeared.
He came home and we were watching a movie and then he just left. No argument, no nothing, he just left.
Okay.
He was, I had a girlfriend over and then I turned around and he was gone.
Now, the visitation for Rob Baronis is scheduled for today here at the Woodlawn Funeral Home, and tomorrow is the funeral service for him. Now, there is a lot more to this story coming up in 30 minutes. We have another look at another 911 phone call that paints quite a frantic scene for several college students just minutes before Baronis was killed. Reporting live this morning, I'm Cuthbert Langley, News Channel 5 HD.
Cuthbert, thank you. Big shocking news last night also. Metro Schools Director Dr. Jesse Register said this school year will be his last to lead the district. The news came as a surprise to board members at last night's meeting. Dr. Register will still lead the district through the end of the school year, so contract ending in late June of 2015. Dr. Register did not expand on why he wants to leave. At this point, school board members can still ask him to stay, but did move on to begin a search for his replacement. He does still have some business to take care of before his tenure is over. Tonight, he'll be hosting another parent meeting to talk about plans and ideas for improving struggling schools in East Nashville. Tonight's meeting is at Inglewood Elementary School. It gets started at 5 o'clock, which is about later this afternoon, obviously, at 5.
And a memorial service is being held today for the late Opry legend George Hamilton IV. Gets started at 11 this morning at the Ryman. The service is open to the public. Tenants of a Music Row business destroyed by fire are already making plans to get back on track. The Music Row landmark, built in the 1880s, went up in flames Monday night. Fire gutted the upper floors and destroyed the roof. Almost a dozen businesses on the lower floors spent yesterday salvaging what they could. Some told us they're planning fundraisers to help recoup their losses. And as for what's left of the building, it's likely going to have to be torn down.
You know, aside from the fact that the business has lost so much, it's just a bummer to see a historical building like that, so different than everything else down there, go up in flames.
So many people, when you mention the Red Barn, people know exactly where you're talking about on Music Row, too. Yeah.